everyone, I'm Michelle Cassidy with the Florida Aviation Network. Right now we are celebrating Sun and Fun's 41st anniversary, and it has been such a wild adventure here. And right now I'm actually joined with someone else who is a part of a big aviation expo going on. Yes, I'm sorry, I lost my word. Jana Filip. She is actually the director of U.S. Sport Aviation Expo. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. And I am the director of the U.S. Sport Aviation Expo that takes place in Sebring, Florida
Yes.
in January every year.
Yes, I was actually there for January this year, which was a whole bunch of fun. You actually have quite a history with Sebring and the expo. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, I was on the founding committee of the expo, and that would have been in '04 and 2004.
Yeah.
And I just stayed on as a volunteer. And the gentleman who founded our expo, his name was Mr. Robert Wood, and he was retired and wanted to bring tourism and industry to the Sebring Regional Airport in our county. And so he founded the show, and he was retired at the time. And after 7 years, he decided that he really did want to be retired. So my background was hospitality and event planning, and kind of by default, I had ended up in the Sebring area. And I got the phone call, would I be interested in coming into the show as the director, and I said absolutely. So what I thought I knew of the show, I really didn't know very much of the show at all once I became the director of it. But it's been really fun, and I'm glad that I have that history with it to have watched it grow.
Yeah, because you've been there since like the very beginning.
Yes.
And you spent 12 years. What made you want to become the director of it?
You know, it is the aviation community, and it just becomes a passion. And again, I volunteered for the first 7 years, and this will be my 5th year in as the director of the show. And it's just a community. Every year it's like a family reunion that gets together. And we have a reception the first evening, and it's a welcome reception for the exhibitors. And when we celebrated our 10th anniversary 2 years ago now, I think over 40% of those exhibitors had been with us all 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so we've got a really good repeat rate on
You
exhibitors.
You have a dedicated team.
We do.
Wow.
We do.
So it says in my notes here that you have a lot of sports aircrafts there, and you're not very limited.
We are not. When the show was founded in '04, that is the same year that the sport pilot license came about, as well as the light sport aircraft accreditation. So people kind of assumed that our show was only LSA, and they are indeed the backbone of our show, and they've been our bread and butter, but it's always been the U.S. Sport Aviation Expo, and we've spent a lot of time, the last couple of years especially, showing that we are all of sport aviation and that there's a lot of room to grow. So no one is excluded, everyone is included that has a passion for the fun, recreational sport aviation and everything that goes along with that. And finally last year, I believe, it was the first year we'd really seen that penetration into all things sport aviation, even though that was in our name from the very beginning. So.
How do you plan on becoming more involved with sport aviation? Because you have been doing it, but still, again, like you said, there's still not a lot of people. You just noticed a breakthrough. So how do you plan on accessing more people, telling them this is a sport aviation?
You know, so many times it's word of mouth that gets it there, and again, our exhibitors stay, and we've really ramped up our website as well. I have this show, and then I also go to AirVenture, and the exciting thing this year is that there are new LSAs on the market.
Oh, wow.
And even though we're wanting to branch out, of course, this is the year now that we've had I think 3 or 4 since the first of the year. So we'll gather a hold of them, and we grow slowly.
Yes.
And we were built on a really stable background, and we just go slow in as far as the growth goes. But we're up to about 160 total exhibitors. We will have pretty much an even split between 80 indoor exhibitors and 80 outdoor exhibitors. So we're known as a very high quality show, and we keep it true to aviation. So what makes us unique is that it's not all of general aviation, and all of the booths are aviation oriented. So our crowds are more of the buying crowd, and we actually record a lot of aircraft sales at our show. And our exhibitors have told us, because we dedicate the airways all day long, each day of our show, to demonstration flights, that is what actually sells the aircraft. Just like you wouldn't ride a bicycle or buy a car without a test ride or a test drive, we provide the means for those test flights right at the show. So every aircraft that's parked in a display booth outside, every single one of those has access out at any time during the show for a demonstration flight. And then we also have 2 manufacturer showcase cases during the day. And they're typically at 10:30 and at 2:30. And we spotlight that particular aircraft, and their people actually come up to the microphone and talk about it, and
Their
people
experience.
can do a walk around of the aircraft sitting right there on the flight line. And then we watch it take off, and it can do a touch and go and then come back and land. So it really gives the aircraft its time in the limelight, if you will, all by itself. So, and because we can do those direct comparisons at our show with the ultralights, powered parachutes, trikes, on up into the fixed wing aircraft. We've got rotorcraft there, and they can do their comparison shopping at the show. And that just lends itself to aircraft sales. And of course, if you buy the aircraft, then you need all of the pilot gear and training that goes along with it as well.
So there's a lot going on at your expo, and it seems like it's not only that, but you have so much more, from workshops and forums and all sorts of other places.
We do. We run educational workshops daily, and they start about, I think they go on every hour and a half. And that will go on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And although I've got the forum speakers that are always, their crowd is always full in the rooms, each year I also try to bring in new speakers for people to hear. And we'll have about close to 1,000 people go through those forums in the 4 days.
Wow.
And people kind of build their schedule of when to come to the expo around that. And we try to have as many speakers that do the wings credits and continuing accreditation as possible at our show. In addition to that, we've had a workshop the last couple of years, Stewart Systems with Fabric Covering, and we're definitely adding a welding workshop to that, and those are both hands-on during the day. So we're also adding the welding this year, and possibly propeller balancing, and that one's still in the works. And then each day we have a keynote speaker. And we usually don't name those until the fall or announce that. And we just try to get someone that, is current, or someone with a lot of history, and we'll have one keynote speaker a day. Last year we had Dr. Story Musgrave come in, the astronaut.
Wow.
And that was just a real hit. He is so personable. He's just like a real person. He said to me, "Oh, no, don't worry about me. You've got other things to do today." So that was really cute. And I think we're going to bring back a panel discussion that started last year, and people have asked me to do part 2 this year. And that was on affordable aircraft, which is really our thrust and our focus. We talk about fun, recreational, take your family with you, but we really look at the affordable component of it. And you too can have an aircraft and fly. And this year we're going to try to show people how you can do that. We're developing a special collateral piece to give to newcomers when they arrive and come through the front gate. And it'll tell you what forums to go to, what workshops, what keynote speakers will lead you right down that path of obtaining your pilot certificate as well as being able to afford an aircraft.
So you can basically come in new, having known nothing, and receive this form, and it can tell you basically how you can get to where you're that point.
Exactly. And
Wow.
you can buy the aircraft while you're there.
Really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't trust myself with that.
So, and to help you do that, what we finally got added this past year, and I had looked at doing it for several years, but we finally implemented it, was an aircraft sales lot for the private individual. So many times on the show field, I would hear people say, I'd love to buy a new aircraft, but I need to sell mine first. So adjacent to the expo field, we actually set up an aircraft sales lot where if you already had an aircraft and you had it for sale, you could bring it in and have it for sale on the lot. And we did sell an aircraft last year, but what I want is the real dream. I want someone to go sell their aircraft and then walk over and buy a new one on this spot. So we'll see if we can achieve that this year. And that went over really well, and we'll be repeating that. And Aviators Hotline partnered with us on that, and they pretty much ran the aircraft sales lot. That is what they do. They're a publication, Aviators Hotline, and that is what they do, you know, day in and day out. And they were just instrumental in getting the aircraft in there and organized. And then they also produced a show bill, so when people walk through the front gate, they know what aircraft is back there for sale. And then they also put it online. So it was a real good partnership, and they'll be back for our aircraft sales lot number 2.
I see you're doing a lot of new innovative stuff that, like, it's different, it's exciting, it's new. How do you plan on even doing that further? What do you see in the next 5, maybe 10 years?
You know, so much has happened. It happens every year as far as avionics and the survival equipment, parachutes. It just evolves and changes so much. I think, you know, what we do at the Sebring Expo is just keep our eyes wide open and our ears and go with it. You know, we're never afraid to try. We had a flying platform at our show last year. I don't know if you saw that or not.
I didn't see it, no.
It was actually one of the original Hibbits.
Oh, wow.
And it was, these people actually developed it from, they made the molds and everything. So, you know, we saw it in the air a little bit last year, just right off the ground, but you know, with the drones coming on to the scene, I mean, whoever would have thought of that, you know, a few years back. So I don't think we can plan for that, except to say we're open.
Yeah, you're open to ideas.
We are totally open. Bring it to us. We guarantee you that we will listen. And you know, I'm always reaching with the forums and the keynote speakers. Last year we had on site a survival demo of a gentleman rolling out of an aircraft into a pool, demonstrating how to get all of your inflatable equipment.
Nice. I think I saw that, which was really great.
And that was interesting. You always had a lot of people around that booth.
Yeah.
So
very
again,
informative.
We're open, and we'll be real anxious to see where this goes. I can tell you that we'll just continue working on all of sport aviation, and we've got room to grow.
Yes.
You know, at the show, and we'll just keep filling those spots.
Now, it's very interesting. I'm curious because the world of aviation is changing so much now. There's more innovation, there's more involved, and young people are becoming more prominent in the aviation field, I've noticed. And how do you plan to involve children and that new innovative structure into it?
EAA has done an excellent job as far as their Young Eagle flights, and we've got a local chapter that has the pancake breakfast and the Eagle flights on a monthly basis. And we're also blessed that there has been an aviation program in our high schools. And that may be moving more to the South Florida State College level. We've got some gentlemen that are particularly interested in the youth and the next generation of pilots coming up. And certainly, the expo will help in any way we can. We were blessed a couple of years ago. We had a gifted class from the state. They were chosen from the state to come in, and they spent the entire day, and we had stations set up. This was during the expo with hands-on different things that they could do, like Seaplane Pilots Association had knot tying, and they were actually able to do that. And the flying musicians play a huge part at our show, and they had instruments for them to play, and they showed the correlation between flying and instruments and the combination of the passion. So
I met them this year and last year, and it's very interesting to see how they can turn music and make it a part of the aviation.
It is, and there's so many of them. It's amazing.
Yeah.
You'll start the show out and think that you've got 3 or 4 flying musicians with you that year, and next thing you know, the stage is filled full of people that just met that are all jamming together. So it keeps it interesting.
Yeah. I also heard that you have a major sponsor this year.
We do. Tecnam from Italy moved onto our campus. They, in fact, at Sun and Fun last year, they made their announcement that they were bringing to the United States a headquarters office, and they made their home in Sebring at the Sebring Regional Airport, and that has just been wonderful for the activity of the airport, and it's such a high-class operation, and they will be back this year as a sponsor again with us. And I should also say that our goal at the expo is to bring in hospitality and tourism to the county, as well as industrial development for the Sebring Regional Airport. And for the past 4 years, going into our 5th year, the Sebring Airport Authority actually manages the expo and the board of directors, and their support has just been extremely generous. And bringing people in like Tecnam, they're wonderful to work with. It's the epitome of what we want to do and where the expo wants to go. So they will be a major sponsor again for us this year.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting because it seems like U.S. Sport Aviation is just starting, like not really starting out, but they are newer, they're fresh. But it also kind of makes me wonder, because Sun and Fun is on its 41st, where you guys will be in your 41st year.
I know. It's hard to believe that this is actually going to be our 12th annual show.
Yeah.
And people still refer to us as the new show on the block, between EAA, Air Venture that's held every summer, and then here at Lakeland Lindner, the Sun and Fun. So 41st, wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. It will. It'll be really interesting. Under my watch, I can tell you that we will stay true to sport aviation. And I think it's a beautiful blend with our show being the first one of the year coming out. It's a smaller show because it's not all of general aviation.
Yeah.
And it's a time that we can gather all of the sport aircraft together. We actually house several of the aircraft until Sun and Fun.
Oh,
and then
wow.
they'll come back and pick up their aircraft and come on over to Sun and Fun. So, and we enjoy the partnership, that kind of a partnership with Sun and Fun. I think we all need as much support as possible, and we certainly appreciate the support from Sun and Fun.
I feel like since Sun and Fun is kind of like the elders, we're kind of feel like we're mentoring to the little small ones. I know.
And everybody has their place, and I think everyone has their niche.
Yes.
And I know in the beginning that people would say, do you think you're going to hurt Sun and Fun, or if Sun and Fun moves their days, they're going to hurt you? We're all in this together.
Yeah.
And the more the better, and the more hand in hand that we can go, the more strength that we're going to have. We even share volunteers. Back and forth, up to the team leaders. So you get people trained, and they actually do go back and forth between the two shows.
Yeah.
Aviation is a passion, and the enthusiasm is there, and we all share.
Yeah. I like to think about it as the fact that we're a cohesive unit. It's like we're helping each other out, not the fact that we're trying to push each other down. Yeah. And that way, it kind of brings both of each other up just a little bit more.
It does. There's definitely strength in numbers. And, both of these shows, it's something that you cannot do by yourself. I mean, when you talk about team concept, we're team concept because I'm the only employee dedicated to the expo in my case. And I do have a field manager for 2 or 3 months. And other than that, it's volunteers. And, you rely on those volunteers.
Yes.
And they are the most important thing to you, when you've got a deluge of people coming through the gate. So.
Now, for those of you who don't know, who want to go to the U.S. Sport Aviation Expo next year, can you tell us a little about when that's occurring and what day?
Absolutely. We're calling it 1 week warmer in the year. This past year we went January 14th through the 17th. And next year we will actually be going January 20th through the 23rd.
Oh.
And for the first time this year, we tried a Wednesday through Saturday pattern. We just found that most people, the attendees and the exhibitors alike, were requesting that Sunday to travel back home, be with family, and to be ready for the work week on Monday, because they've already been out of their office for an entire week. So we did that, and it went over extremely well. So we'll be Wednesday through Saturday, January 20 through 23 next year.
Well, thank you for joining us, Jana.
Thank
it was
you.
great having you. And thank
Appreciate
you
it.
for joining us today at Sun and Fun's 41st anniversary. And this has been Michelle Cassidy with the Florida Aviation Network. We'll see you guys later.